Leclerc is a French third-generation main battle tank. It was developed by the GIAT concern in the 1980s to replace the outdated AMX-30 tank. Serial production began in 1992 with a total of 794 units produced by 2007. As of 2010, there is no further production of the Leclerc. 406 tanks of this type are in service with France, and another 388 are in service with the United Arab Emirates Army. 80 of them were transferred to the Jordanian Armed Forces in 2018. In early 1989, the first batch of 16 Leclerc tanks was ordered for military testing. On January 14, 1992, the GIAT concern handed over the first production vehicle to the Army, slightly by a month late. The production of new tanks was delayed. By the end of the year, only 2 combat vehicles had been added to the firstborn, and only the following year, the entire trial batch was taken out for testing as part of a tank battalion. During the tests, defects in many systems were discovered, an inevitable continuation of the advantages of a complex machine. Failures were accompanied by electronic regulation, which is why the engine often stopped by itself at low revs, and the crew could not restart it without adjusting the computer, which was only accessible to a specialist. Idle arresters continued to haunt the Leclerc in combat operation, forcing it to keep the revs high, although this was accompanied by a considerable excess of fuel. Onboard electronics remained a constant source of problems. The high efficiency achieved by its complexity initially had the downside of many failures. In addition, an accurate and sensitive complex in the field has to work in an environment far from laboratory. If the tanks themselves are accustomed to dirt and dust, this cannot be said about precision equipment, the advantages of which are directly dependent on operating conditions. At the same time, the electronic filling of the Leclerc turned out to be extremely expensive, accounting for about 60% of the cost of the tank, which rose to a record level. The contract price of the tank is from $9 to $10 million, while other third-generation vehicles cost much less. Leopard 2, 2.0 to $3.0 million. Abrams M1A2, 3.2 to $6.9 million. T-80U, $6.2 million. 0.5 to 3.0 million. Variations in cost are determined by the terms of supply. Complete set, manufacturing of vehicles specifically for the customer, or decommissioning from reserve, economic relations between countries.